In Chapter 15, Gatria and Drago landed a safe distance away from the city of Ager's tall and imposing gate. In front of it was a long line of people hoping to enter the city, people from the towns and villages who wanted to escape to Ager, the only remaining fertile city of the kingdom of Tretera. But commoners were denied entry to the city. Even if they begged, cried blood, or died on the spot, the gatekeepers never spared them a glance and even pushed them away to give way to wealthy merchants and nobles. It was because the gatekeeper had received an order from the higher-ups, and they were to follow it to the letter if they didn't want to lose their position and be kicked out of the city. Why wouldn't they let them enter? Gatria, who was covered with a cloak from head to toe, asked Drago in a low voice as they fell in line. They don't have money for the toll gate. They had passed a few towns, and Trevin always takes care of everything, so Gatria didn't know how much it cost to enter a town or a city. How much, she asked. Probably a handful of gold tear. Tear was the currency used in the kingdom of Tretera. Most commoners haven't even touched or owned a gold tear, so it's no wonder they couldn't afford it. There's even only a few of them who could earn a few silver tear. Gatria looked at the people outside the gate who were denied entry. They all looked feeble and worn out, especially the children. Their eyes had no life in them, as if the people merely survived because someone hadn't killed them yet. How could they do this to their own people? Drago answered Gatria's angry question. The kingdom wanted money, not people. Sager is probably the only remaining fertile city, and they wanted to keep it that way by not letting many people in, especially the commoners. But they are their people. Unlike Ithurians and other races, most humans, especially the ones in power, don't really care about their own people. Gatria turned to Drago. What happened to the good apples? Drago smiled and looked at the tall, imposing gate in front of them. Let's just say this city is full of bad ones. Gatria clenched her fist as she glared at the city walls. I'm certain that the reason the barren land hasn't devoured this city yet is because of my blood and regalia. Then I could just destroy this place. Drago flinched at that and was about to ask Gatria what she meant when he noticed her cloak glowing. And it seemed like Gatria noticed it the same time he did. No, so many. Gatria mumbled as she gripped her cloak that was starting to gather attention because of its glow. As Gatria tried to feel how many stones were inside the city by observing how fast the cloak was absorbing it, a dark cloak wrapped around her, as if to hide her glowing one. It was Drago's cloak. Gatria turned to Drago, and she could now see the golden eyes and the olive skin that were hidden under the cloak earlier. Your cloak is gathering attention. Use mine to hide it. Gatria fixed Drago's cloak on her. She could tell that it was made from expensive materials. She was not only thanking him for the cloak, but also for not asking why her cloak was glowing. Keep your head down, I'll take care of the rest, Drago told Gatria when they were finally next in line. As Drago suspected earlier, the toll gate fee was indeed a gold coin, 100 gold tear for one person. That was very expensive. Only wealthy merchants and nobles could afford it. Drago handed 200 gold tear to the gatekeeper. What is your purpose here in our capital? The gatekeeper then asked before looking at Gatria, who was covered under a hood. To seek a fertile land, of course, Drago casually answered before handing the gatekeeper 50 gold terra. My companion is very shy. Please have mercy. The gatekeeper immediately showed mercy after he checked the pouch Drago handed. He spoke with a grin. Welcome to the capital of Tretera, my lord and lady. Drago smiled politely before stepping inside the capital with Gatria beside her. After a safe distance from the gate, Gatria and Drago stopped. Gatria knew it was time to part. Drago was here to investigate, and she was here to get what was hers. Gatria slightly pulled back the hood of her cloak to show her face before smiling gently at Drago. Drago nodded with a smile. I had fun. A frown made its way to Gatria's face. You were attacked and you had to fly nonstop because of me. Still fun? Drago's smile widened, his golden eyes glistening. It's always fun when I'm with you. Unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye. For some reason, Gatria felt like she didn't want to part ways, but they both had things to do. May the deities bless your investigation. Drago's expression softened as his hand reached to cup Gatria's face, his thumb softly rubbing against her cheek. May the deities' blessing protect you, Gatria. Gatria smiled at that. It will. Then I'm relieved. Drago pulled away, took a step back, and did a curtsy. Until the deities bless our path to cross once again. Farewell, my sword goddess. Gatria watched as Drago turned around and left. She felt a strong urge to stop him but stopped herself. She didn't even know why she wanted to stop him. Taking a deep breath, she looked toward the castle on top of the hill, my regalia. She felt it the moment she entered the capital. Gatria started walking by the side of the road toward the castle gate. She was not planning to enter, but she wanted to see it as close as possible. But every step she took, she felt heavier and heavier, as if there was a chain in her ankles once again. The closer she got to the castle, the more moonlight stone she could feel. Her body started to weaken. She couldn't feel her own essence, just like when she was imprisoned. The cloak's effect was starting to wane. I have to change cloak. But before she could do so, her knees gave out and she stumbled. If not for the arm that wrapped around her waist, she would have fell on the ground face first. How could you be so reckless, Gatria? Gatria started to smile even when it was hard. Because I know you'll come and get me. Trevin clicked his tongue before gently picking up Gatria in his arms. You should be thankful that you have an amazing best friend. Gatria rested her head on Trevin's chest. I am thankful. Trevin just sighed before casually moving toward the inn he rented. Endure the stones for now. It'll be fine once we get to the inn. Gatria nodded and let Trevin carry her to the inn. True to Trevin's words, the moment they entered a small inn, Gatria started to feel better. She could still feel the moonlight stone, but it had become bearable to the point that she could stand on her own 2 feet and walk. Although she still couldn't use her essence, it was better than earlier. What hap? Gatria stopped herself from asking Trevin a question when she saw the inn's staff. Every single one of them was a druid. Your Highness, one druid, Gatria assumed the highest-ranking one among everyone there, kneeled in front of her. We apologize for our incompetence. Even with a dozen of us here, we could only negate a small portion of the moonlight stone. Gatria asked the druid to stand up. No need to apologize, this is already enough. I thank the druid for always doing their best to protect me. You have my gratitude. There was an unshed tear in the druid's eyes as the mistress of nature thanked them. We will keep working hard, Your Highness. Gatria nodded and thanked the druids again. Gatria, I'll guide you to your room so you can rest. Trevin then offered his arm to Gatria. He knew Gatria was still feeling weak. Smiling weakly, Gatria held into Trevin's arm and let Trevin guide her to her room. The room was in the 2nd floor, and outside the door to her room, as if guarding it, was Grath in full alert. Is it bearable? Trevin asked once after they settled down in the room. Gatria took a deep breath, observed her body for a full minute before nodding. I can handle it, but I can't believe there are druids here. Aren't they putting their lives in danger by being here? This was Hackerin putting them to work. You know that Hackerin had been planning this for a long time, right? Gatria nodded. This was part of his plan. That guy basically planted spies and allies everywhere. Trevin shook his head, but he couldn't deny that he was amazed. He even put me to work before he called for me after Queen Solal was out of her prison. Then. He must have a spy in the palace, Gatria deduced. Trevin nodded. A phoenix and a few harpies, I already sent words days ago, will be hearing from them any time soon. Gatria frowned. I understand how a phoenix could deceive everyone since they have a flawless human form, but the harpies as well. Trevin nonchalantly leaned back on his chair. Gatria, we have the druids on our side. They could make almost any enchantment except when it comes to dealing with moonlight stones. If it's just changing one's form from harpies to humans, it's not a big deal to high-ranking druids. How about the dryads? Have you had any news of them? Gatria asking about the dryads made Trevin frown. The dryads were not exactly a friendly race, especially after humans became the central figure of Azatura. Why are you looking for them? And Trevin's expression became ugly. Yes, at the expense of your blood, Gatria, he gritted his teeth. The Dryads listens to you well, but there is always a price to pay when utilizing them, and in your case, it's your blood. He exhaled in annoyance as he scrutinizingly stared at Gatria. You're probably thinking of giving your blood so the Dryads could use it to prevent the expansion of the barren land, but that would drain your dry, Gatria. I know, but that's the only way, Gatria responded to Trevin's anger calmly. If we don't stop the barren land from spreading, it'll reach a drow in few months. It's spreading in a terrifying speed. If we don't do something about it, the whole Azatura will die, Trev. I can't let that happen. Trevin gave Gatria a complicated look, but you have to continuously provide blood. Trevin whispered weakly. You already bled enough, Gatria. Gatria gave Trevin a soft smile. Yes, but this time I won't be bleeding just for anyone. I'm bleeding for Azatura. It's my responsibility, Trev. Why do you think I took my time coming here, checking every tree, vegetation, and soil, and did not go straight to Selim Kingdom? It's not just my regalia. It was to check Azatura's condition. Trevin sighed heavily. My head hurts. Trevin massaged his head. Let's talk about this after we get your regalia, and speaking of which, what's the plan? The whole city is filled with moonlight stones. Let's expect double the amount in the palace. The cloak made by the Druid King could only absorb so much. Gatria nodded. Yes, based on my observation with this large amount of moonlight stone, the cloak could only last for about 15 minutes maximum. If it's double the amount, then make it 6 to 7. Trevin continued massaging his head. What then? I don't think Grath and I could take on the whole palace. Even if the Phoenix and the Harpies helped us, we will still be at a disadvantage. And I have a feeling Carr would show up. Gatria also felt that way. After fighting Carr and feeling that moonlight stone, she was sure that someone came to save Carr. I don't need to touch my regalia. I just need to see it to take it back. Trevin exhaled a loud breath. Even now, I can't still believe that Carr gave it to them. Gatria became silenced as she recalled how she lost her regalia. It was in that hill when Carr stabbed her with a cursed sword. As a defense mechanism, her blood of Nadair automatically summoned her regalia to protect her. But when she fell unconscious, it was stripped off her. It was a gift from her deity. It was the physical symbol of their blessing. Was it because of that cursed dagger, or was it something else? Now that she thought about it, she didn't really have the time to figure out what was the curse put in that dagger. And until now, Gatria was still questioning how Carr managed to take it off her and steal it when it was part of her. Solal's regalia had not been stolen like hers. That means that the way to steal a regalia was only known by a handful of people, and the people of the Infernal Empire had no knowledge about it. Maybe it's a good thing that I haven't had the chance to kill Carr yet. I can ask him, Gatria said that, but she didn't know if she could. Every time she would see Carr, she was always overcome with intense rage and a strong urge to hack him to pieces and kill him. Gatria. Agatria blinked and casually looked at Trevin. Yes, Trevin heaved a deep sigh after seeing how Gatria was trying to look unaffected. We'll wait for the spy's response first before formulating a plan. Gatria nodded. Trevin stood up. Rest up, I'll go outside for a bit, we need information. Without waiting for Gatria's reply, Trevin stepped out of the room and spoke to Grath. Guard her well. Igrath nodded vigorously before giving Trevin a positive answer. On the southwest part of Azatura, a woman was seething in anger after receiving a call from Iamissa. It was a shocking news that made her eyes bloodshot. Her Drago was seen flying with a woman, and that wench was none other than the mistress of nature, Gatria. Riraris couldn't accept it. She wanted blood, Drago was hers and hers alone. No one was allowed to have him but her. I will rip you apart, you wench. Trembling in fury and jealousy, she summoned her basilisk, Eraz. Take me to Tretera now, Riraris shrieked, and Eraz flew with all its speed, afraid to be punished by Riraris. But it was not enough for Riraris, who wanted to rip apart Gatria as soon as possible. Faster, you useless beast. The basilisk pushed itself to fly faster, as if its life depended on it, because it did. Meanwhile, in the capital of Tretera, Gatria and her group finally received a response from the Phoenix and Harpies in the palace. And as they formulated their plan, they had no way of knowing that a disaster named Riraris would foil their plan before they could even get Gatria's regalia. Asdclibcc.